Ever feel like your parents had big plans for your future? Like really big plans?
Yeah.
Well, today's deep dive takes us back to a time of family drama and epic journeys and divine intervention, all wrapped up in one guy, Jacob.
Yeah.
And a passage from the book of Genesis chapter 28 where his story really kicks off.
Yeah, this is a good one.
So we're talking about a time when lineage and inheritance weren't just like family tree details.
Wow.
They were everything.
It's true.
And Jacob's father, Isaac, lays it on thick with a blessing, A.D., a very specific instruction. No Canaanite wives. Why was he so insistent about who Jacob married?
Well, to get it, we need to kind of step back into the world that they were living in.
Go.
The Canaanites weren't just neighbors.
Right.
They represented a completely different culture, belief system. And for Isaac, preserving his family's religious identity meant keeping those lines very separate.
Okay.
Marrying a Canaanite woman, that would risk diluting that identity. And that was something incredibly important in that world.
So it's kind of like today's version of, those talks that you have about dating the right kind of person.
Yeah.
But with much MUCH higher stakes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I can only imagine the pressure on Jacob.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Big time.
But here's where the family drama really kicks in.
Okay.
His twin brother, Esau. Let's just say he doesn't exactly handle the news of Jacob's blessing with grace.
No, not well.
Right.
In fact, he goes off and marries Mahalath, a woman who, while related to Abraham, is descended through Hagar, not Sarah.
Okay.
And remember, Sarah's lineage is considered the main line.
Right.
So this decision further muddies the waters of who is considered in and who is considered out of that family line. So it adds another layer to this whole lineage obsession.
Wow. So it's like sibling rivalry, parental favoritism, marriages that are basically power moves.
It's a lot.
This family makes a reality TV show look tame.
Right.
It's amazing how these age-old issues still resonate with us today.
It's true.
Even if our families aren't quite as complicated. Intense, yes.
Yeah.
But back to Jacob.
Okay.
He's on the run, all alone, probably wondering what he's got himself into.
Yeah.
And this is where things take a turn for the truly mystical.
Okay.
So picture this. He stalks for the night, completely alone in this vastness of the desert.
Yeah.
And then, bam, he has this incredibly vivid dream.
Oh, boy.
And not just any dream. Jacob sees a ladder stretching from the earth all the way to heaven.
Oh, wow.
Bathed in this, cool light of the moon.
It's powerful imagery.
Angels are ascending and descending.
Up and down.
And at the very top, there is God.
Whoa.
Imagine experiencing something that real, that visceral.
I know, it's intense, right?
Yeah.
It's like those moments when you step into a place where the line between the physical world and something bigger, something beyond us, feels paper thin.
Yes.
Have you ever felt that?
Oh, absolutely.
Those thin places, as they're called?
Yeah, those thin places.
Yeah, this dream with its ladder imagery is a powerful example of that concept.
Okay.
The ladder acts as this bridge between the earthly and the divine. And those angels, they're like messengers, constantly going back and forth. It's like this direct line of communication has been opened up between heaven and earth.
Okay, so we've got Jacob alone in the desert having this mind-blowing ladder dream, angels as his heavenly Uber drivers.
Yeah, it's quite an image.
It's like something out of a movie. But then it gets even more intense.
Right.
Because God speaks to Jacob, right? What does he say?
Well, God lays it all out there.
Okay.
He essentially reiterates and expands on Isaac's earlier blessing,
Okay.
promising Jacob land, descendants as numerous as the stars.
Wow.
And here's the kicker.
Oh.
He says that through Jacob, all families of the earth will be blessed.
Wait, all families, not just his own
His
descendants.
family.
That's a game changer.
Yeah, it really is.
It's like taking that family legacy and just blasting it wide open.
Exactly. It's this concept of a universal blessing.
What?
One that goes beyond one family or nation. And it's something that has been, discussed and debated throughout history because it raises all sorts of questions about the idea of chosen people and what it means to be connected to something larger than ourselves.
Yeah, this is blowing my mind. So Jacob has this incredible life-altering dream.
Right.
Here's this promise from God. What's his reaction? I mean, I'd probably be running for the hills.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. He's overwhelmed with awe and fear,
Makes sense.
which, understandable. He's just had a direct encounter with the divine.
Yeah.
He names the place Bethel, which literally means house of God,
Okay.
recognizing the significance of what he experienced there.
Right.
And then he makes a vow to God.
A vow, like a promise. What does he
Yeah,
vow?
like a promise. He basically promises loyalty to tithe, offering a portion of what he has if God will stay with him and protect him on his journey.
So it's like, if you've got my back, I'll dedicate my life to you kind of thing?
Exactly. And it's a big if, right?
Yeah, it is.
It makes you wonder if he fully trusted the promise or if there was still a part of him that doubted.
Right. Like, are you really going to be there?
Yeah. And it really speaks to that very human element of faith, that tension between trust and uncertainty.
Right.
But it also highlights this concept of covenant, which is super important in the Bible, especially the Old Testament.
Okay.
And it's this idea of a binding agreement, a two-way relationship between God and humanity.
Okay, so it's not just a one-sided deal where God says, do this and you'll get that.
Right.
It's more about a mutual commitment.
Yeah.
Think of it like a marriage vow or even like a contract you sign.
Right.
There are expectations on both sides, a commitment to uphold your end of the bargain.
And just like in those real-world examples, covenants come with consequences if they're broken. That makes it feel so much more relatable. It's not just this abstract theological concept.
Right.
But speaking of relatable, back to that idea of God being with Jacob wherever he goes, that really struck me.
Yeah.
We often think about sacred spaces, churches, or temples, but this suggests something different.
It's a powerful idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
That God's presence isn't confined to these specific locations.
Right.
It's about a connection, an awareness that transcends physical boundaries. It's like God saying, I'm not just at the top of a ladder in the desert. I'm with you always. Okay, now I'm really getting chills.
Right.
So it's less about physically going somewhere to find God.
Yeah.
It's more about cultivating that inner awareness, that sense of connection wherever we are.
That's exactly it.
Okay.
It's about recognizing those thin places in our own lives, those moments of clarity, connection, even just peace, where we feel a little closer to something beyond ourselves.
Like when you're standing on a mountaintop or listening to a piece of music that just moves you to your core, or even just having a conversation with someone you love and feeling truly seen and understood.
Beautifully put. Those moments are all around us if we pay attention.
Yeah.
They're reminders that we're not alone, that there's something bigger at play in our lives, even when we don't fully understand it.
It's interesting how we often associate journeys with like physical destinations. But what we're really talking about here is this internal journey, a journey of self-discovery.
Yeah.
And Jacob's journey is just beginning.
Oh, yeah. He's just getting started.
Oh, yeah.
It's as much about the transformation that happens along the way
as
it is about reaching a specific destination.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Think about it. Like, journeys, they test us, they challenge our assumptions, they force us to confront our fears, and ultimately they change us.
And boy, is Jacob's journey about to get interesting.
Oh.
I mean, we're talking deceit, betrayal,
Little 9 yards.
family feuds that would make your head spin.
Oh, it's juicy.
All that's coming down the pike.
He's in for it.
But through it all, he's going to grapple with this promise, with his faith, with his own humanity.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's what makes this story so timeless and relatable.
Right.
He's not some perfect hero. He's a flawed human being, just like all of us, trying to figure things out as he goes.
Totally. But even though he's carrying the weight of this huge promise, this idea that he's going to be a blessing to the world, he's still got his own stuff to deal with.
Of course, always.
We've all been there, right?
Yeah.
Feeling lost, uncertain.
Oh, yeah.
Wondering if we're on the right path.
Absolutely. But here's the thing. Those moments of doubt, those struggles, they're not a sign that we've somehow messed it all up or that God's presence has disappeared.
Right.
In fact, it's often in those moments of darkness when we feel most alone that we discover a strength we never knew we had.
Yes, like when you finally push through a challenge and come out the other side. You're like, wow, I actually did that. It changes you.
Exactly. And it connects back to that idea we talked about earlier that God's presence isn't limited to certain places or times.
Right.
It's there in the midst of our struggles, our triumphs, our everyday lives.
Yeah.
Just like Jacob discovering that the house of God wasn't a building, but a state of being present with the divine wherever his journey took him.
It's like that quote, be still and know that I am God.
Yes.
It's about finding that inner stillness.
That connection.
That connection, even amidst the chaos of life.
And realizing that we don't have to have it all figured out, that it's okay to have doubts, to question, to wrestle with the big questions. That's part of what makes us human.
Yeah, so as we leave Jacob on the brink of this incredible, messy, ultimately life-changing adventure.
Yeah.
It makes you think, what journeys are we on?
It really does.
What challenges are shaping us, and where might they lead us if we stay open to the possibility of transformation?
What are those thin places in our own lives where we feel most connected to something beyond ourselves?
It's been quite a deep dive into just a few verses, wouldn't you say?
It really has.
Family drama, epic journeys, divine promises,
It's all here.
and the age-old questions of faith and doubt. It's all here in this story.
It really is. And it reminds us that these ancient stories still have something to say to us today.
Yeah.
They reflect our own experiences back to us, helping us make sense of our own lives and our place in the world.
So until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning.
I'm seeking.
And keep seeking those thin places where the veil between the everyday and the extraordinary feels a little bit thinner.
Yeah.
You never know what you might find.
You never know what you might find.
Thank you for spending this time with us. Toby, Eleanor, and our team of researchers are working hard to produce more episodes. If you value what we're doing here, please consider subscribing and sharing the word. Additionally, our podcast, RSS, and Patreon links can be found below. Listener support is what makes our work possible. Join us next time for another deep dive. God bless.